Hi, I'm Manny Katz. I am the founder of AirLab and the owner of Whyalla Dive.
Welcome to the show, Manny.
Yeah, thanks for
And
having me. Appreciate it.
how's ADEX going for you?
ADEX, yeah, it's cool. This is my first show.
Yeah.
I've never been to one of these before. It's actually the first time to Sydney as well.
No way.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
welcome to Sydney.
yeah, thanks, man. It's been lovely having a look around, doing a bit of sightseeing as well.
Yeah.
Here, so it's good.
Happy days. Well, you're here and you're presenting Why Dive, so
Yeah.
why don't you tell us a bit about Why Dive?
Yeah, so Whyalla Dive, formerly Whyalla Diving Services, is a shop that's been open for about 30 years in the Upper Spencer Gulf in South Australia. And we just bought it a few months ago, and we do the giant Australian cuttlefish aggregation dives.
The
Yeah, a little bit of, yeah, bit of that going on. They come up every year for mating.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's pretty wild to get over 100,000 cuttlefish aggregating to an area that's about 8 kilometers of coastline.
Okay.
So you jump in and they're just
8 kilometers.
Yeah, well, the sort of where we dive is a couple kilometer section of coast. The Cuttlefish Coast, it's known as. It's actually set up as a sanctuary zone in some of its protected area. And yeah, it's pretty incredible.
And what kind of year do we need to be going down there to do the dives with the giant cuttlefish?
The aggregation happens every winter, generally from May to August. And it's a bit of a, sort of a bell curve continuous aggregation. They fill in, they do their thing, they get it on. And it actually happens towards the end of their lifespan. So generally around August, a lot of them either start migrating away or they die off.
Okay.
Yeah,
And how busy does it get with divers? Because it's obviously a very popular spot.
absolutely. It's been picking up steam year to year. It's been pretty popular. It's definitely been growing. I think we had about a few thousand divers come through last year.
Wow.
Yeah, a few thousand in the span of just a few months. And we expect that to sort of
Grow and grow.
grow a little bit. Yeah, we don't want it to grow too much. I think, you want to be mindful about over tourism. We don't want to, have negative impacts on the environment. And so we're actually in the process of developing a monitoring program, state government, as well as researchers, to understand the environmental impacts of tourism, which is something that's never really been looked at for that particular site for this aggregation.
So do like a ticketing system to limit numbers, or is it just the research stage at the moment?
Yeah, so we're sort of in the process of really gathering baseline data. Yeah, and there are state government research organizations that have gone out and done, surveying as far as cuttlefish populations go, but they haven't been able to measure tourism impacts, which we don't really know what that is at the moment. There's also a couple of glass bottom boats on site as well. So it's understanding, these potential anthropogenic disturbances for the cuttlefish. So we want to, it's our job to look after them, to take care of, the land and sea country. So we want to, just make sure that the cuttlefish, they're going to be cool, sweet, being able to do their thing for generations to come. So, so we'll set up some research programs, run some experiments, hopefully this year. That's the game plan. If we can get all our permits and stuff in order.
Yeah.
And work with the right people. So it's what we're about.
Good on you. And obviously you're not Australian. I can tell that by the accent.
No, yeah.
So how on earth did you end up right the way down south in Australia?
Yeah. So the missus is from South Oz. She's from a small farming town just north of Cummins on the Eyre Peninsula. And she was actually a DSD on a boat I was working on in Hawaii. I was living in Oahu at the time, and sort of came over and we took her for a dive, and then a couple months later I was in Australia and haven't left since.
I feel it. It's a very similar story with me.
Yeah, beautiful.
Well, it's fantastic to hear that you're doing all that good stuff down there. How do people find Why Dive? Online?
Yeah, so if you look up Giant Australian Cuttlefish Dive, if you look up, so the shop is in Whyalla. So if you look up Whyalla Dive Shop, it's pretty easy to find us, or Why Dive.
One last question for you before I release you back into ADEX OZTek.
Sure.
Could you describe to a non-diver what it feels like for you to be underwater and on a dive?
Physically speaking, the zero gravity is, neutral buoyancy for me. That's it. I've got back pain, so it feels really nice in that sort of sense. So you just float around and stretch in all sorts of weird, funky ways. For me, that's on a physical aspect, that's what I like. But for me, what diving's about, I've actually been sort of, I've gone through periods of time where I've gotten burnt out from diving and just doing way too much diving and, working in the industry. And, for me, I've found a new love in exploring and finding new things and documenting species that is over in my part of the world, over in South Australia. And I live between Whyalla and Coffin Bay,
Okay.
which is on the west coast of the Eyre Peninsula, which is a very remote area. Think Nullarbor, that side of that, the far south end of the Great Australian Bights. And that whole side of the coast is super unexplored, under-researched. So everything that we come across is like new.
Yeah.
And so just being able to go out and explore and find new things, that's what I've been falling in love with lately.
Happy days. Well, thanks for your time.
Thanks very
And
much.
good luck with the rest of the show.
Appreciate it.